The wounded healer is one who has healed themselves from a variety of diseases, traumas, pain, suffering. They, through their wounds, can access spiritual healing power, love, strength. And through this wound, they can empathise with others who are suffering in their community. The wound itself is rather like a doorway to other realities, higher levels of consciousness, and deeper layers of spirit. The wound is rather like a goad. It drives the healer, it motivates the healer, while at the same time enabling the healer to expand their consciousness. The wounded healer, or the shaman, is a very gifted soul who has suffered many evils, who has endured much within their lifetime. They have mastered certain realities, and in doing so they are able to access other entities within the spiritual worlds and on the physical world. For the shaman, their wound is their strength, acts as a source of their pride and their status within the indigenous community. As a walking wounded healer, they can escape from the constraints within their societies. They can also break with conformity and tradition in order to find new ways of living for their people. For example, one who has suffered from a mental trauma or emotional shock may have broken several of the tribe's taboos by their behaviour in early life. But in doing so, they can offer innovative ways of living or new ways of living within their communities. Our world, as it is, has a great variety of cultural and traditional paths. This concept, the wounded healer in our world, has always been alive. Artists, poets, musicians, writers, filmmakers, they are the contemporary shamans. They are the ones who access the inspirational realities, whose muses are the mystery, nature, contemporary life itself. Within our own lifetime, we have seen a great deal of healing through art and literature and film, but also the rise of, or rather the rebirth of traditional ways of healing. For example, myself, I have healed emotional, mental and physical diseases, illnesses, and within myself, for example, I've healed myself of malaria by doing the vision quest, mental illness through therapy, healing, and these inner wounds, the traumas I've suffered, have enabled me to open up my heart to give, because I can empathise with the troubles of a modern world. Because the modern world, although it is an imbalanced world, is not separate from myself or anybody else. For the modern healer, they are the pioneers, they are the inspirers, they are the real warriors of healing today. We in the West have a great problem with the word acceptance. In the West, we tend to question rather than accept. So I would say the first stage would be just to sit quietly and just begin by accepting that there are perhaps other beings in a non-physical reality. Secondly, the way that you could communicate with your guide is to just think of this part of your body, the solar plexus. This itself is a very powerful doorway through which you can communicate. It's where your instincts lie. It's like an old intelligence that has been sleeping for a long time. The instinctive power within the solar plexus is both the voice and the ear, and the relationship you can have with your guides. You could maybe sit still in a chair, still your mind, breathe deeply, and just listen to sensations, sounds. It's about adopting a common sense of bringing all the senses together into a synesthetic point of view, where you can hear colours and feel sounds, and your body responds as a transmitter and as a receiver. So when you're sitting quietly, your mind is still, you're listening to your emotions, you're listening to inner sensations, you're opening to receive. The guides that come can be one guide, two guides, 1,000 guides. Trusting yourself and what you're receiving is the most important skill to develop.
How can I distinguish between a guide when it's coming and my fantasy?
You'll know the guide because the guides always come with a non-threatening approach. The guides come with a heart of love. They never harass or harangue or induce fear into you. Guides, you know by their presence, and their presence is often a strong, loving and peaceful energy.
How can I know then that what I'm having is not a pleasant fantasy?
The fantasy has been left behind once the mind is still. The fantasy arises through your own desires, through your own neurosis, through the chitter chatter of the mind. When the mind is still, then anything else outwith that stillness.
How can I obtain then this stillness of mind?
It's already there. You already have that. It's been there since you were born. Your mind is like a landscape. Your mind is like a scene. There will be busy waterfalls within your mind, forests, clear skies, but there within your mind will be the still pools, the dry, empty deserts, and the still pure landscapes of snow and ice. It's about you going within your own mind, travelling within your own mind to find these still places.
Our world is still, our world is full of noise. How can I find this place to be quiet and listen and look for my still mind?
It's always inside your heart, inside your own mind. The knowledge is that what is within you is real. The outer world is just a cartoon, a circus, a carnival. It comes for a day and then it goes, but you always remain. It's always you. You're within yourself.